Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Since I don't know what time zone you are in, I am on Eastern time, but it's middle of the afternoon for me, and I just want to welcome all of you to our Under the Hood webinar from SaaSmax Partner Optimizer, Grow Your Business with LastPass MSP. I'm excited to be here. I am Laura Stewart, Director of Online Channel Events for SaaSmax, former MSP. And I love the fact that we're able to provide you these great webinars to show you some solutions that will really help your clients, especially in the current environment where there are so many cybersecurity threats. And now, during these particular times where there are people working from various devices off-site, not necessarily under controlled environments as we would like them to be. A few housekeeping things. Any questions that you have for our presenters today, please type them in the question pane and I will be moderating that throughout the webinar. And you can also chat back and forth, but please put any questions that you have for our presenters in the question pane. At the end, there will be a survey after the webinar ends and we would love to know your feedback. So let's get started right away and get right into our webinar today. Our guests today are Rebecca Stone. She is the Senior Product Marketing Manager for LastPass, and Randy Fahrbach, the Director of North American Channel for, oh great, you are on the screen. I love it when a plan comes together because your other product works really well, GoToWebinar, which we are using here today. So awesome. I would like to welcome you both to the webinar. You guys, you and I have gone back and forth on this in prep, and I love this product. I can't wait for everybody to see the demo that they're going to get to see today with you all here. So I am going to turn this over to you now, Rebecca, and let you just dive right in and get started.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Laura, for having us today, and for SaaSmax and everyone on the call for joining us. All right. I'm just going to double check to make sure. All right, so everyone should be able to see my screen right now. So I'm going to actually start off just with brief introduction. So as Laura mentioned, my name is Rebecca Stone. I'm on the product marketing team. And I was part of the team that brought the MSP solution to the market just this year. So we're so excited to be able to show you the value of this product as well as give you a demo. And I'm joined today by Randy. Randy, do you want to give a quick introduction?
Yeah, thanks, Rebecca. Randy Fahrbach, been involved with LogMeIn and previous companies associated with us for almost 20 years. So we've been doing this for a while. Very excited to come out with our first MSP design solution with LastPass and tell you more about it.
Awesome. All right, so let's start with the agenda. So today we're hoping to cover why you and your customers should be utilizing an identity solution, how to grow your business with an identity as a service solution. We're going to introduce you the LastPass MSP solution, and then we're going to give you a demonstration of our product.
Yeah, Rebecca, just for everyone's sake, a little bit about LastPass. So it's really a trusted brand. It's been around for a while and it's loved by personal users and businesses. We have over 25 million registered users. So some of our attendees, they may be using it for their personal or business use, and guaranteed your customers may be using it also on an individual basis. We have 70,000 business customers, and our password manager tool has protected over 500 million sites. So this summer we launched our MSP solution, which is specifically designed for MSPs to protect yourselves and your customers.
And there are really kind of three trends that we want to talk to that we know are impacting the cybersecurity landscape for MSPs today. The first is, the SMB businesses are viewed as an easy target for cyber criminals. I think it's estimated that cyber criminals spend about 45% of their time actually attacking those SMBs, primarily because they don't necessarily have the same defenses as their enterprise solution competitors, but also because they can serve as a gateway into some of those larger organizations. And therefore, MSPs have also been identified as an opportunity for cyber criminals. We've seen an increase in recent breaches and attacks against the MSP small businesses, as well as larger organization multi-service providers, as cyber criminals are understanding that if they have a successful attack with the MSP, then they're able to access their entire client base. And then finally, we've seen this worldwide shift to remote work. So as previously alluded, with everyone moving from the office where they were set in a set confined area behind firewalls, we're now all working in a variety of different offices. LogMeIn, we went from having, I think, about 25 offices with 4,000 employees to having 4,000 independent offices. So with this shift, we have seen cybercrime increase. I think it's estimated that it's gone up about, attacks have increased about 148% with that shift to remote work. So it's more important than ever for MSPs, small businesses, and organizations worldwide to have a strategy, a cybersecurity strategy in place in order to address those needs. So with all these additional challenges and risk, the questions MSPs should be asking themselves is, how do I protect both my organizations and customers from this evolving cybersecurity landscape?
And so why is identity access management so critical? Well, IAM, identity and access management, it securely connects employees to the resources required for their role, whether employees are working in the office or even remotely, and also your teams too. So there are 3 key areas of IAM that can be used as a business enabler for secure remote work and environment. So let's walk through some of these pillars. Secure access. So this revolves around securely connecting employees to the resources they need for their role. And it's critical for the organization's security strategy to a degree to where a recent survey of IT professionals, 90% of them, your peers that we surveyed, agreed that managing secure user access is really important to the security of their organizations and to secure your own networks. And the way that to facilitate this is through single sign-on and password management technologies, which securely connect employees to the applications required for their roles. Businesses can select an application for which they want to grant access to with one click, and once secure that application, then the employee can securely log in with a click of a button, no extra password needed. So this is critical to securely granting user access, and a priority we've seen based on recent survey, as well as one we hear from customers regularly. With single sign-on, there's visibility and control over the users that with the assurance that they're logging in correctly. And then also there's the password management component. Is not every application is going to be available through single sign-on. So it also extends it through the web experience. So I was working with a partner who recently noted that my favorite thing about LastPass new single sign-on functionality is the ease of use. It's easy to set up and has been well received by my end users so far. So ease of use for the MSP and ease of use for their customers' employees is critical to facilitating the secure access. And I'll let you take that, Rebecca.
Another, sorry, I was on mute for a second, but another item that's super critical in terms of protecting both your organization and your customer's organization is for those credentials that aren't necessarily covered by single sign-on. So these could be passwords that can, maybe shared throughout the organization or may not be SAML compliant, things that are just not quite a good fit for single sign-on. And we know that these passwords are a huge frustration amongst employees as well as a risk to businesses. Upwards of about 80% of data breaches are due to passwords, according to the 2020 Verizon data breach report. And 98% of the businesses we surveyed said that they see room for improvement in the security behavior of their employees, including password sharing. So that's almost everyone. So if you're on this call thinking about your own password sharing behaviors and how your organization or your customers address this today and are thinking that maybe there's room for improvement, you're definitely not alone. Many organizations see that this is an area that they struggle with in terms of security and are looking for improvement. So how do password management technologies help? Password management technologies help enable businesses to secure those credentials, as well as enable employees to securely share those credentials so everyone on the team has secure access that they need. So an example of this in practice, I was speaking to an MSP, and one thing they struggled with is they have certain client credentials where they have one set of credentials, but they need multiple technicians to utilize those credentials to help that customer. How did they securely share those credentials so that, if one of the technicians leaves or, if they get compromised, that password is still secure and that client is still secure. So this is an area where password management can help, where you can share a password amongst a set number of employees or individuals, but then you can restrict access if that technician leaves or if they no longer require access to that system, as well as set things so only certain people have the ability to actually change that password. So it provides a lot more visibility and security to some of those credentials that require use from multiple individuals.
And then the last piece is secure authentication. So access is critical. Authentication adds that additional layer of security on top of the secure access. Multi-factor authentication, or MFA, requires 2 or more authentication factors prior to the employee gaining access to the business resource. So the challenge in doing this is in a way that it doesn't get in the way of employees' work. So that's critical. So authentication factors can include biometrics like a fingerprint or a face. It enables employees to authenticate with the touch of a finger, which is seamless. IT enforces MFA for specific endpoints, and the employees log in with their biometrics. We've also found in a recent survey that MFA is ranked as the most effective IAM technology to secure remote workforce. So with 62% of the respondents ranking at the highest. Now it's more than ever, as we're all remote workers, critical to secure every access point with MFA, including SSO apps, employee workstations, corporate VPN, and to ensure access point has that additional layer of security to keep critical resources protected.
And you may be wondering, what are the risks of not, managing identity? Having these passwords exposed or not properly secured, or using, the same password in multiple different areas. So our research indicates that identity is critical for a secure workforce, and the impacts of not managing identity, honestly now more than ever, given the remote work environment, are severe. So most respondents from our survey state that their business practice has been exposed to a risk due to poor identity and access management. Given the high risk associated with this remote work, it's not shocking to see this number. In terms of what those risks are, incorrect access control is the most seen form of risk. So these are people having access to credentials or applications that they don't necessarily need to in order to be successful at their job. This could also include employees who maybe leave your firm still having access to certain internal systems, applications, things like that. Closely followed by the loss of employee data, but also the loss of customer data, which, as you know, a business with clients could have a huge ramifications on, your credibility in the market. So all of this is stuff that LastPass can address for both your organization as well as for your customers through secure sharing, secure access, and secure authentication. So now we're going to just jump in and tell you a little bit more about LastPass. So LastPass brings these different functionalities together and simplifies it. So MSPs have one solution in order to provide secure access for every access point in your business, but also so you can provide your customers with secure access and ensure that they're using best-in-class recommendations and policies to prevent any potential risks of a data breach. Let's dive into LastPass a little bit further.
Yeah, so LastPass offers all this in one solution. It's pretty amazing. By offering the market-leading password manager coupled with single sign-on, So with LastPass, your organization and your customers can securely store and share passwords. Deploy simplified single sign-on with one-click access, provides secure access to cloud, on-prem, and mobile apps. LastPass provides all this with zero knowledge security, so you know where your information is secure. Integrations with identity providers such as Azure, Active Directory, and Okta, and with over 100 security policies to customize, LastPass can fit yours and your customers' needs.
And now I think we're just really excited because we have a new LastPass MSP solution that we introduced to the market. We launched it as a beta this spring and introduced it formally this summer. And so far, we've gotten really great feedback from our customers. So we're so excited to begin onboarding and bringing more MSPs into our LastPass family. So now we're going to tell you a little bit more about the specifics of the LastPass MSP solution. So starting off is just generally, why is the LastPass MSP solution valuable to your business? I'm sure you have a lot of competing priorities. How does LastPass fit into your overall business strategy? So the first thing I wanted to call out is that this MSP solution was designed specifically for MSPs. So as part of our development process, we interviewed tons of MSPs asking what's important to them, what's a must-have for the product, how can we better
Hi, Rebecca, not hearing anything. Is everything okay on your end? Randy, can you hear me? Okay, so we're having a brief technical difficulty here as we try to get that resolved. And it's saying that they are muted, but I am not seeing that from my end. Can you guys check your muting again, Rebecca, or make me the presenter? While we're getting the technical integration, the technical pieces resolved, I just love what you're doing here. I personally use LastPass myself for everything that I am doing, and it's a great solution. And I'm just going to check to see who is muted, and I'm not showing anybody muted, but I am sending an unmute request. Randy, can you hear me now? Can you say something? Okay, it's still showing that you are muted. I'm unmuting you and...
All right, I think you should be able to hear me now.
Okay, I can hear you now. Randy is still showing as muted, even though I am unmuting him again.
Okay. There we go.
There we go. And
You want to make me presenter again?
I am making you presenter again.
All right. Can you let me know exactly where I dropped off?
You dropped off right there. You went to change from design specifically to MSP, and then technology happens.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for your patience. Apologize for the little hiccup. Let's just dive right back in. So the second piece I want to talk about was the opportunity to grow your business. So with the MSP solution, we're going to give you the ability to earn a healthy margin while bringing LastPass to your customers. Next is the ability to partner with a proven leader. So LastPass is a leader in the identity as a service market. As Randy showed in the beginning, we serve over 25 million users, 70,000 businesses, and we're growing rapidly. So we're really excited to work with MSPs to further kind of expand. And then finally, increasing customer satisfaction. So LastPass is loved by its users. Our customers, they have high retention and they keep coming back for more. So by partnering with LastPass and offering LastPass to your customers, you have the opportunity to increase your customer satisfaction by offering this user-friendly version to address any security concerns that they may have.
Yeah, and our MSP solution is unique in a number of ways. First, we've designed multi-tenancy directly into LastPass for a single pane of glass. I think you'll find it's a very elegant solution, very intuitive for you, the MSP, to set yourselves up, set up your own policies, and then set up sub-accounts or set up your customer accounts, and then help them manage their policies too. We're also offering flexible monthly billing. We want to ensure that we match this in the way that you're doing your billing with your customers. And so with the MSP discount, that there's an opportunity to make 25% margin when offering LastPass to your customers. And this allows you to be the primary contact for your customers. So you're managing, you're selling, and you're supporting LastPass, which I know both you and your customers appreciate to maintain that relationship.
Awesome. So I'm sure you guys are eager to see what this actually looks like from the product. So I'm just going to hop out of this PowerPoint and bring over my screen right here. So right now you should be able to see a browser. So this is our LastPass vault. So the vault is what your end users and your employees will use daily in order to access and save their passwords, as well as additional items. So from here, you can see that we have a number of different credentials saved. So everything from passwords, but you can also save and securely share notes. So some people do use these for certain client passwords, things like that. So you can restrict and see who exactly has access to it. You can keep addresses in LastPass, as well as payment cards. So one thing that we use LastPass for on the marketing side is if we have a payment card that the company provisions us to use, instead of all of us sharing the payment card via email, it's something that we can securely share and have access to in LastPass. So we're using best practices. We also are able to kind of store bank accounts, databases, SSH keys. So there's a bunch of different use cases as both a MSP, but also as your end customers for LastPass. And LastPass, it functions primarily through the browser extension. So once your browser extension is installed for your customers or employees, LastPass just starts picking up passwords automatically. So it'll help you begin to fill your vault really easily and seamlessly without too much friction. The other thing that we just recently launched is our security dashboard. So LastPass security dashboard gives an overview of any passwords that may have been involved in recent data breaches and alerts your users that they should update those passwords. It also looks for things like reused passwords. So if you're using the same password for 10 different accounts, it's going to highlight that and let you know that it's something that you should change. The next thing I want to talk about is the sharing center. So one of the main use cases that we talked about in the deck was sharing of passwords. So in the sharing center, you're able to configure certain passwords to be shared only among specific people. And therefore, when they leave the organization or if the role no longer requires access to a password, you're able to restrict that. You're also able to set specific permissions. So certain people may only be able to have read-only access to the password. Administrators, they have the opportunity to actually change the password. So, if someone's responsible for managing and updating a client credential when that changes, then they should be an administrator of the shared folder, as well as the ability to hide passwords. So for some shared passwords, you won't necessarily see them. The other really great feature of LastPass, I think, is its ability to link an account. So for example, if you're using LastPass at work, we also have consumer products. We have LastPass Premium, LastPass Families. So me, I have a LastPass Families account, and I also have my LastPass account through LogMeIn. And what I love about the linking of the accounts is just through one browser extension, I'm able to access both my Families account passwords, but also my LogMeIn passwords. However, they're kept completely separate on the back end. So LogMeIn doesn't have any insight at all into what's shared into my LastPass Families account. And if I ever leave LastPass, I'll still have access to my LastPass Families account. So I'll be able to access all my passwords, such as some of my shared streaming services that I have with my family. All right, so that's just a quick overview of what the vault looks like. The one other piece I'd like to highlight, so this is primarily where you'll store your passwords, but we also have this Cloud Apps tab. This Cloud Apps tab is where if you configure any single sign-on applications for your customers or organizations, you'll see them all listed right here. And through this, your users are able to click and access an application immediately, or they could go directly to the website. And if they're already configured into the LastPass browser extension, they'll receive access as well. All right, but now jumping to the MSP side of things. So as an MSP, you'll be, configuring LastPass for your customers as well as probably for your internal use as well. So what does that backend look like? How are you able to administrate and secure those accounts? So I wanted to quickly walk you through our LastPass admin console. So where I kind of end up when I first log into the admin console is on the actual MSP view. So as an MSP administrator or your technicians, this is the admin console that you'll see. And this admin console does mirror the admin consoles of your customers. Same left-hand items here, except for one exception, which I'll get into in just a second. So I'm going to quickly walk through these left-hand items so you can see what's possible within LastPass. So you see here on the Applications tab, you have your SSO application. So if you're configuring SSO applications for your customers, this is where you'll come to add your first SSO application. LastPass, we have pre-configured access with over 1,200 applications. So we have that application list, and we make it really easy. We do all the background research for you to pull those applications into LastPass. We also have this tab here called Password App. So if there's a specific password that you're looking to push to your users, you're able to come here and you're able to share a specific password with a certain group of users. That brings me to our Users tab. So in this Users tab, this is where you can see who is currently in your LastPass account, who's invited. It's very simple to invite users. We have a few different methods. So you can add user just coming over here, and they'll receive an email to join LastPass. We also automate provisioning services. So if you're an AD shop, we have an AD connector that I know many people use as well. The next thing that LastPass really brings to the table is groups. So a lot of times people structure groups according to the passwords that they're hoping to share. For example, marketing or engineering have a certain credentials that they utilize, then you can kind of create them as a group. For MSP, if you have a few technicians who are responsible for a few different customers, you can create a group and make sure those passwords are shared amongst that group. The shared folder piece is what I was showing you a little bit earlier. So those are the folders that you can create and share amongst your different users. We also have really great reporting, so you can look at a bunch of different event types, anything from user activities to if you're working to increase adoption with your customers or seeing who's taking advantage of it, to security reports. You're able to see overall how if there's any like risky behavior that you should address. Jumping down to settings, I'm going to just talk about a few items here. Randy got into it a little bit, but LastPass has over 100 security policies. So this gives you the opportunity to really customize LastPass to meet the needs of your customers as well as your organization. So we have everything from, setting length of password, master password requirements, or site passwords to different multi-factor authentication options. So ensuring that your users and your technicians of the MSP are using best practices when accessing LastPass. Next thing is that directory integration. So as I mentioned, if you're a AD or Azure, Okta, or OneLogin shop, we also offer provisioning, deprovisioning management, syncing through that. So it really facilitates that seamless onboarding experience for you. All right, so now I want to get into this Manage Companies tab. And as an MSP, this is really going to be your home base for managing your customers. So up top here, you can see a quick snapshot view of your current licenses. So with the MSP solution, we do pre-provision your account with a certain number of licenses dependent on the tier that you'd like to be a part of. Once those licenses are configured, we'll only bill you for the licenses that are actually in use. So we term this as active licenses. So active licenses is defined as a license that has an email attached to it. So as I showed on the users tab, as soon as you invite that user to LastPass, they are an active user, and we will begin to charge you for that account. Over here, you have your average security score, so you can give a quick snapshot of how all your customers are doing overall. If I jump down here, this is where I can see all my different managed companies. So these are the companies that I have access to the admin console of, and where I can go in as a technician and perform tasks such as adding users, creating policies, creating groups, creating shared folders, and really configuring LastPass to meet the needs of my customers. So there's a few key actions that you can take from this admin console. So the first thing is just say you have a new client and you want to onboard them to LastPass. We make it really easy for you to add a new account under your managed company. So just as simple as coming in here. I'm going to call this Managed Company 10. Configuring the number of licenses. So I'm going to give it 15 employees at this managed company, and pressing save. Here it is here. I renamed after another one, but you can see immediately account created was this Managed Company 10 with 15 licenses. So I can go right in then and assign those licenses to that user and get them up and running immediately. There's no delay waiting for LogMeIn or signing paperwork or deal registration. It's all automatic through your admin console. There's a few key actions you can take just from this dashboard with that managed company as well. So if you click on it and go over here, you're able to open the admin console, which I'll do in just a second. You can allocate licenses. So say, managed company 10 has a new employee, 2 new employees starting on Monday. I can go ahead and allocate 2 new licenses from my overall and plug them in there. So now I have 17 licenses in that account. You're also able to remove licenses anytime. So say 2 employees are leaving and you want to take those licenses and reallocate them to your overall license count. You can do that through here as well. We also give you the ability to suspend an account. So if you set a customer up with LastPass and for whatever reason you want to suspend them from using that account, maybe until they catch up on payments or something like that, you're able to suspend them, and this will keep them from accessing LastPass here. However, if you're ready to reactivate them, it's as simple as going back in and activating them, and then they'll be ready to go and they can keep using LastPass. The one other thing I want to mention here too is that we do have the opportunity to detach an account. So if for any reason the company wants to move from under your MSP, you're able to detach it, and at that point they'll take all their data with them and access a LastPass trial where they can determine if they want to purchase LastPass independently or move to another MSP. All right, so the biggest thing that you can do here is then open that admin console. So this admin console takes you to the master account or the admin console of your customer. So right now I'm in Managed Companies 10 master account. So through here, I can actually add users to it exactly how I could in the master admin console, and create groups, shared folders, reports, as well as set these custom policies. And what's really great about this is that you can add specific admins or users from your customers to this view, but they will not be able then to see your other customers. They're completely restricted to their own viewpoint. When your technician is done setting up these users, you can just jump back to your master account and you'll jump back into your central hub. All right, so that was a really quick overview of LastPass and our MSP solution. I see we got a bunch of questions coming in, so I'm going to turn it back over now to answer some of those.
Okay. I didn't see the switch over on presenter come back to me yet, but that's okay. Randy, do you want to join us on video as well to answer some of these questions that might be something for you to answer?
Sure.
Okay, there we go. Showing my screen again and putting the questions up there. We have so many questions that have come in. It has been fast and furious. The first one that came in is, how does this differ from a PAM solution, a PAM solution?
Yeah, so PAM solutions, they tend to be privileged access management. It's for very high level credentials for specific individuals that are at the highest risk. So, maybe a few HR people or C-suite level. So password management and single sign-on are more for the full business. So it's not just necessarily for those people with access to those certain privileged accounts, but it's for the entire organization to ensure that their security is secure. So, for example, a privileged access account may not necessarily be, your email or something like that, but that's something that would fall under single sign-on, as well as password management, to ensure that your employees aren't using the same email for their email address at your company as they are for, I don't know, their Marriott reward center. It's ensuring that they're using best password protocols throughout all of their accounts, not just the ones that require, not just the privileged accounts.
Great. Next question, to enable a 25% margin, are you billing the customer and then remitting 25% to the MSP? I think you kind of answered that during the demo, but why don't you elaborate?
Yeah, so we'll work directly with you, the MSP. So we'll be billing you the 25% margin. So in US dollars, LastPass Enterprise costs $6 per user, just list price, but we're offering our MSPs a discount that puts it at $4.50 per user. How you choose to bill your customer, if you want to layer in additional security solutions, or if you want to add additional value for setting up and managing LastPass, that's for you to determine.
Okay, I think that kind of segged with this other one, customers buy LastPass or do they buy an MSP branded product? So you're enabling this to be totally transparent. They don't talk to you. It is an MSP solution, whatever way they want to present it. Great,
Yes.
Love that.
Right.
What size business is this designed for?
So LastPass, we see do LastPass password management single sign-on. We see do particularly well with those businesses that are under 1,000. They tend to be ready to provide secure access to their customers. So we have everything in our customer base, from some of those micro businesses to some of those more mid-market. We also do have a fair number of enterprise customers as well. For enterprise customers, they tend to be most interested in the password management piece. So that tends to be how we lead with that market.
Okay. Just had another question come in that I just needed to glance at. They're fast and furious. They are coming in. I'm having trouble
Right.
keeping up.
Bring them on.
How do you onboard and enable MSPs to successfully find, close, and support customers? What expectations, I love this one, what expectations do you have of the MSPs in terms of training, resources, et cetera? We're seeing this coming up a lot from our MSPs now. Like, what are the expectations from both sides, and how do you put that all together?
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great question. So to support our MSPs, we have partnered with a platform called Partner Exchange, which is our central hub for both training and enablement and marketing materials for our MSP partners. So currently we have a full training program that specifically talks about onboarding yourself as MSP. How do you go from, how do you add users to your own account? How do you set up your technicians? Then the next segment is selling LastPass. So how do you pitch it? We just kind of shared with you our thoughts about how you turn around and sell that to your customers, what marketing materials are linked to those sales. The next piece would be setting up your customers. So we have detailed documentation, around, like I mentioned, we have 100 policies. Which policy should you really look at and, consider for implementing for your customers? What's the fastest way to set them up? How should you train them, communicate with them? What materials are available to support you? And then the final piece is supporting. So what are those common FAQ questions that, our support team gets all the time that you should be ready to answer and, feel confident that you have the answer at your fingertips so you can keep customer satisfaction high. And then from the marketing perspective, on Partner Exchange, it's really awesome because it gives you the ability to co-brand our materials as well. So we have a variety of different LastPass materials in there that you can then, add your label to and, send your customers and really show the joint partnership between LastPass and your MSP.
Great. Can LastPass be private labeled so that the customer never sees anything on their end that says LastPass?
No, we don't currently have white labeling capabilities.
Okay. What is an example of a group? This came up during the demonstration along with can you delete?
Yeah, so groups are a super powerful functionality within LastPass that a lot of times we work closely with our customers to kind of think about. But examples of groups, it really depends on your organization or your customer's organization. But how we see it in play is a lot of times it's based on role or role in the organization. So for example, like marketing or engineering or sales, it also tends to be based on those shared folders. So a lot of times when we're working with customers, we ask them to kind of think about which passwords do you think will be shared and create groups based on those. So for example, like a social media account does not need to be shared amongst all of marketing. That doesn't necessarily make sense. So maybe you have a group that's only those people who require access to those passwords and would want that updated every time one of those shared.
And I think a great example for this community is how are you, the MSP, sharing your clients' passwords within your team? So you can't remember, so you could create those shared folders and those groups with access to those folders. So you're really protecting your clients' credentials by using the shared folders and the groups.
That's a perfect lead to another question we got. Is there an NFR program that the MSPs would be using for themselves to manage all of this for themselves?
Yep.
Yeah, so go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, with each tier level, so the entry tier level is we just enable you with 350 seats to be able to sell. That's your pool. And that gives you 10 admin/NFR seats because we really want you to secure yourself. And then secure your customers. So as you enable your team, the first thing is bring your team in, get started, set up your policies and your configuration, and then you've already trained yourself on how to handle that with your customers. And then as you go up to the tiers, as you sell and bump into that top level, then you can grow the tier level and then get access to more admin NFR seats.
Great. Do you have sample agreements and terms and conditions we should use or can use with our clients?
So as part of the, so we can share the LogMeIn terms and conditions. Part of the process for inviting users is where users will agree to the LogMeIn terms and conditions as far as that sign up flow. But we can share out what those specific terms of agreements are.
Okay. And this seems to be somebody asking a clarification on their other question they had asked. When we talked about the 25%, they said that you described it as a 25% discount, not a 25% margin. It sounds.
So we will bill MSPs $4.50 per LastPass seat. The list price for LastPass seats that we sell it at is $6 per user per seat. So if you, the MSP, determine to sell LastPass at our list price, you'll make a 25% margin on that seat.
Great. Okay. What reporting is available for us to provide to clients? who has access to what type of data, and is it easy for clients to understand? And I thought you did a great job in the demo explaining the reporting. This looks like it's taking it to another level.
Yeah, so if you're looking specifically to pull a report for a customer, so that's something you can do just from the admin console of that customer. So if you don't want any of your other customers' information, if you go directly towards that, customer are able to pull anything related to their security structure and share that with them to see how they're doing overall as a business. So you can report on everything from adoption, so how many users are using LastPass, to give an overview to the business of how successful LastPass is at the organization, to improvements of security risks. So you can really show your value. So when you start launching LastPass, your organization has a security score of 30, really low. There's a lot of room for improvement there. But after maybe a month, we've brought it up to 80, which is much more competitive. So there's many different options to show your customers the value of LastPass and also show kind of the impact that's having on their security posture. I think the second part of the question was who has access to different reports.
Yes.
So if you are a admin of the managed company, so if you're in that essential admin thing and you have the correct permissions and roles, you'll be able to access those managed companies or those sub accounts and be able to perform tasks such as adding users, creating reports, setting policies, and things like that.
Okay, great. There's another follow-up. How is what you're describing different from the premium license? I'm sure clients will ask, you're at $6, I can get it for $3 online. So how do they differentiate this?
So the biggest differentiator from our business solutions and the consumer line is that our business solutions have that admin console and provide central control to the business. So for example, if LogMeIn gave me a personal license instead of their corporate license, when I left LogMeIn, I would have all those passwords with me. It's under my name, it's my account, it's not managed by the MSP or the IT department, and there's no way for them to then restrict access for me. And also they have no idea or visibility into my security behaviors. So I could have LastPass but not be using it, or be having really poor passwords and reusing passwords, and the business would have no visibility into that and have no roadmap for how they could help me improve the overall security over the organization. So what the LastPass business products does is they give that visibility and control to the organization so that you know how their password security is, but also so that you can have granular control over who has access to what passwords. And then when someone leaves the organization, they're not necessarily leaving with all the passwords that they saved at your organization.
Great. Is LastPass a standalone app separate from other LogMeIn offerings?
Yes. Yeah, at this time it's standalone.
Nice, simple one. All right, and I love this next question. It's kind of fun. How do I become a LastPass MSP?
Randy, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, it's easy. Just go to lastpass.com and click under partners and register your interests, and we'll have our team of qualified LastPass channel managers follow up with you and get you started. We have a very high percentage of people that express interest that sign up to get going. So in the last 60 days since we launched it, it's been an amazing ride and we've learned a lot, but there's tons of interest and we really look forward to working with you.
Yeah, there were a number of people on the registration sheet that said, I can't be on the call, but I want to find out more about doing it. And there is one question that came in on the registration form that I think we should mention again, because you briefly mentioned it, Randy. You said that there are a number of integrations and you mentioned Azure, but the question is, we are a CSP for Microsoft Azure. Will this solution work in the Azure environment? And perhaps you should mention some of the other ones again that you integrate with so that people are aware.
Yeah, so we integrate with Azure, ADFS, Okta, and OneLogin for directory integrations. So that's super helpful for provisioning, onboarding, aligning groups. So if you have your group set up in Azure, you don't necessarily need to recreate them in LastPass. You can actually pull them right across. So you can really automatize your LastPass deployment. We also offer federated login. So federated login is where you're able to actually use your identity provider to access LastPass. So if you don't have federated login set up, then you would create a LastPass master password, which is how you'll access your LastPass account. But with federated login, we replace that master password with your identity password. So it's one less password to remember. So if you're using Azure for your identity provider, you're able to log into LastPass with your Azure credentials, as opposed to a different LastPass master password. So for federation, we integrate with AD, Azure, and Okta as well.
Great. And this is the last question, and we thank everybody for staying with us with the tech difficulties. It delayed us, but also we want to make sure all your questions are answered. Is there a deal reg process to protect my deals from other partners or from direct deals?
So with the MSP solution, you're able to add your customers directly into the portal, but we also, with Partner Exchange, you're also able to deal register. So if you have a customer that maybe isn't a great fit to be managed by you, but you want to resell them and go through that motion, you're able to deal registration with LastPass on through Partner Exchange to kind of protect your customer.
Okay, and I said last question, but one more just came in under the wire. It's a good question too. I think you might have addressed it already, but let's answer it if you had. Yubico keys for admins and techs, yes, question mark.
So we do integrate with Yubico. So if you're a Yubico shop, you can set LastPass and configure LastPass policies. So when you log into LastPass, you need to authenticate with Yubico.
Okay. That is all the questions that have come in, both during the webinar and pre the webinar. So this is really great. Just a couple of last minute things for everybody here on board, because we did promise everybody that they are going to get a free gift from us. And Partner Optimizer, SaaSmax, now has a product where we audit your site to show you how you are showing up online to your clients and your partners, like LastPass. How do they see you to know to solicit you? We perform all the research to show you what your colleagues and competitors are doing. And if you send us your site URL, we will provide you with a complimentary to you report showing you how that is going. So you just need to email us with that. And Randy and everybody, it's just been a joy to have you here. You guys have really answered all the questions. We will be sending out the recording to anybody that was not able to be here today. And if you, at the end, there's a survey, let us know if you want us to reach out. We're going to make it really easy to you. Say yes on the survey, and we will send your contact information right over to the folks at LastPass. We want to make it as easy as possible for you to do business with them, because we think they're an incredible product. So thank you everybody for being here with us today. Randy, Rebecca, thank you again. I love this product. If I was still an MSP, I would having all my clients sign up for it. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great day. Stay safe.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.